Welcome to RE Uncut. Our daily shows are powered by CoreLogic and supported by Printforce, Rockend and Realty.com.au.
Good morning once again. Welcome to the show. Today, a valuable lesson to learn from Andrew McSweeny as he talks to Mark Frater about how many businesses will fail during COVID or as a result of COVID because of one thing they did not do. That mistake and what you can do to prevent it, up in just a moment.
Realty's proprietary technology connects you, the agent, with buyers and sellers and builds relationships differently. Only Realty's unique geo-channel mapping gives you an exclusive connection strategy, and then our tech builds the relationship for you. This creates your digital voice, increasing your top-of-mind awareness as the agent of choice in your area. Your agent profile boosting content delivered consistently will get you in the door to secure the listing. And then the exclusive Realty listing strategy gets it marketed and sold. An end-to-end marketing solution for agents.
Well, welcome back to RE Uncut. Mentor this week has been Mr. Andrew McSweeny from the Ray White Career Office, and we've had a look at some of those leadership areas during COVID and starting to come through. Yesterday, we talked about the reward and the recognition. Andy, today we want to start sort of looking further forward and talking about long-term cash flow. And I remember on Monday session, this did come up a little bit, but can you go into more detail about what you mean by that?
Yeah, well, I think that this whole situation has made us think a lot more about, how, as we've discussed, pandemic-proofed our businesses or COVID-proofing our business. And you can only do that if you are prepared for it. And for me, I think that we all slip into a little bit of complacency from time to time, that we just think the market's just going to keep offering to us, and we can set our targets and all of our budgets that we like, but when you hit a brick wall, you hit a brick wall, and how do you survive past that? So it's really made me think a lot about how far that rubber band really needs to be stretched to truly insulate my business from any kind of risk.
So if you had to sort of a metric to decide what would keep you comfortable without becoming complacent, what do you really want to have as that cash backstop in your business?
Yeah, look, we always used to look at our running balance at probably being in positive for 3 months plus at all times. But I still think that's a little bit dangerous. Obviously, now as we see that something like COVID can predetermine, the outcome there for us. But, so for me, I think the first thing that we did was I sat down with Tracy, who's my left and right arm in the business, who handles all of the accounts. And we certainly worked on stretching that rubber band a little bit further and getting to that sort of 6-month mark. That was before we were looking at job keepers and seekers and whatever else was on offer as well. But now I look at it even further, and I just think to myself, look, ideally in a perfect world, it'd be great to get to that point where you've got that 12 months running balance in positive to be able to protect you and insulate you and your team as well.
And mate, does that mean that you're looking at the cash flow from two different divisions? You're looking at from your sales division, and you're looking at completely separately from your property management, or do you just sort of all lump it into one sum and say, look, I'm just lumping it all there? How do you sort of look at the two different divisions?
No, look, I've always looked at both of those businesses' independent cost structures as well. So I think that it's important. I mean, particularly with property management, you have a pretty good idea of what's coming in and what's going out at all times, and it's a more rigid cost center. The other one is a little bit more floating because you're relying on the permanency of sales, where that might not necessarily be the case from month to month. But I think that understanding what potentially could come for your business, and God forbid we go backwards again, like the poor buggers in Victoria and New South Wales have had to face. For us, I think that this is a lesson where we need to stock the war chest, and we need to make sure that as much as we're hitting these budgets and targets that we planned for, that we need to start to squirrel a little bit more away.
For the salespeople, obviously one of the weaknesses, and this comes into this cash flow, has been their pipeline. What a salesperson thought they needed when suddenly 3/4 or 80% of those people suddenly put things on hold. What's the focus been with the sales teams around their long-term cash flow from that point of view?
Certainly understanding that more is certainly going to be better, but also understanding where your business is coming from as well. I think that the good thing within my business is that we have some seasoned operators that all work through the sales division. So constantly looking at database is probably key. Making sure that you are keeping in constant with probably a larger pipeline, and making sure that you're pushing more into that funnel.
From the property management side, obviously rent arrears is obviously a big focus, because that's where your cash will slow down. And you did mention on the metrics, was that a big focus on keeping that, even if there had to be some negotiations done, keeping something coming in?
Yeah, and that's a range of vacancy. So for us, we hit that straight away. We made sure that we had a tenant in place in every single property, so that we knew that we could at least count on this type of cash flow coming in, rather than having half your properties vacant at any one time. It's
fantastic. So, mate. So again, obviously, looking at it from a business point of view, long term 3 months, and then building that up to 6, and then if you can manage it, have a really good forecast of the 12-month cash flow. For salespeople, looking at that pipeline, doubling what they feel they do need for their plan to counteract any mishaps, and property management, keeping the vacancy rates obviously low and the rent arrears low to have something coming in. So some great tips on long-term cash flow points for us, regardless if you're a business owner or if you're in sales or property management. So thank you for that, mate. And tomorrow we wrap up the week by looking at some, what the team have been looking for from you, and what we've got to put in place, as you say, regardless of what the market does. Our mentor this week, Mr. Andrew McSweeny from Ray White Carina. We look forward to speaking to you again tomorrow, mate. Thank you.
The Daily RE Uncut show is powered by CoreLogic and supported by Printforce, Rockend and Realty.com.au. Realty.com.au is where you will see all our shows: Real Estate Talk, The Property Show, Auction Update, and of course RE Uncut. We are the home of property.